I would watch a Fred Durst hosted NFL show.
I would watch a Fred Durst anything. I think he needs to have a renaissance.
I would not watch a Fred Durst sex tape.
Depending on the other party, I'm down. Him as party A does not ruin it for me.
That's not a deal breaker.
It's definitely not a deal breaker. Whoever finishes the teamwork. What are your Fred Durst thoughts, huh?
No idea who that is.
Welcome to Uffsides, the very best NFL show on YouTube that very, very few people see. I'm Matt Ufford, your host, joined as always by a legitimate YouTube star of his own series, Will Bukema, and modern AI revolutionary, Alex Rubenstein.
Modern family lover, I thought you were going for.
You are going to be bombarded with 2017 NFL previews that focus on the good teams and who's going to win the Super Bowl. No, not here at Uffsides. That is not our brand. We are shooting this in the basement of Vox Studios. We are going to create the worst imaginable pro football team possible.
Mostly because we always do a preview and get it wrong every time, so they asked us to stop. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, we can't be too loud or they'll know we're in here.
So let's start things off with our franchise. We got to hand pick the worst owner in the NFL, and this is like
throw a dart.
They're pretty much all terrible. Ooh, there's one that rises above the pack. You want to say Dan Snyder. I hear you. The man is awful, but he's genuinely a fan of the team that he owns.
And he makes bad decisions, but just like any fan of your team would.
No, the worst owner in the NFL, I gotta say, Jimmy Haslem. He is the only one who is actually a felon. Or is Ziggy Wolf a felon now? What was he?
Ziggy Wolf's probably a felon.
Had to sell his stake in the Browns' rival, as if the Browns have a rival, but owned a stake in the Steelers and sold them so that he could buy the Browns.
He's a Steeler fan.
The Browns are owned by a Steelers fan. Had to pay the federal government $1 billion fine. He's like, all right, here's a check for $1 billion that covers my debt to the government and another $1 billion for the Browns. $1 billion for the Browns.
That's superhero villain fine money.
Yeah, Jimmy Haslem, the worst. We've got our terrible owner. We need a terrible stadium. Boom. Oakland stands out because they've got a baseball diamond in the middle of theirs.
And sewage issues.
They got a lot of poop in there.
There's some sewage issues.
A lot of poop.
And yet, there's like a little bit of charm. It's kind of like they're the field that has the quirky baseball diamond on it. That grass that is partially dirt is in better shape than FedEx Field. If we can, I would like to take FedEx Field and drop it in Glendale, Arizona, just so we can be sure that there's nothing of note around. Because I have a problem with FedEx in that it is accessible by commuter train.
Just transfer the field to University of Phoenix Stadium.
Just let that racism bake.
We need a logo for this team. You're shouting the Browns. Trick question, Browns ain't got a logo.
They have like a bulldog with a spiked collar, I think, but that doesn't count.
That's a mascot. That's not a logo. Cleveland, you're out. You don't even have a logo. You'll earn one when you win 10 games in a season.
Shut up, Braylon Edwards,
no.
fan of the show.
The worst logo is the Green Bay Packers. It's f***ing stupid and bad. Hey, I'm the guy making the Green Bay logo. Here's a G. I put a circle around it. Hey, we're in Green Bay. Can we make it GB? Too late! Already drew the circle around the G.
Hey, Clark, we need you to design a new logo. All right, what's the name of it? Green? All right, cool. Got it.
And also half of colleges that start with G use that same exact identical logo.
Georgia, Grambling.
Yeah, that's like half of them.
Half of them. That's half of the G colleges.
Galabama.
All right, we need a front office for this team. Washington, the way that this Washington front office has performed, has managed to take every good thing they've ever gotten in it and just punted it out a window.
I love how they got rid of McLuhan and everyone was like, no one really knows what's going on. And then their own front office was like, oh, you guys don't know? Yeah, he's a drunk.
So yeah, Washington, you're the worst. Fan misery. Let's be clear, every single NFL fan base is terrible. So we want to tap into who has the most misery, the most accustomed to being miserable.
We want for this shitty team to make sure that we have people ready to be able to handle it.
Yes, I love what Buffalo offers. The Bills fan base has lived through a quarterback carousel that is rivaled only by the Browns, anxiety about the team being moved. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost. No playoff appearances in the 21st century. Their last playoff game, by the way, was the Music City Miracle. Oh, and it's negative 20 degrees and snowing.
I hope you realize you're now on a pamphlet somewhere with the quote, I really like what Buffalo has to offer, Matt Ufford.
No one has it as bad as Bills fans. Let's start now pulling position groups to actually assemble this team. We're not going to go through a 53-man roster as much as people want.
When you fill a trash bag, you're not going piece by piece. You're
No,
getting a handful at a time.
You got the bucket, and our quarterback group is definitely coming from the New York Jets.
Josh McCown, Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg.
God damn.
And it just says Tony. There's just a guy.
It's just a dude,
There's
Tony.
a guy named Tony.
Let's be clear, Josh McCown is 38 years old. Really, if he has any place on any NFL roster, it's as the backup on a very good team. He is going to be the starter on a very, very bad team.
But at least Christian Hackenberg was like a late round pick, right? So like,
Yeah, they only wasted a 7th round draft pick on him, right?
Second.
yeah, right.
A 2nd round?
Spit take. I could have done it this way.
The worst running back group in the NFL, the Ravens. They lost Kenneth Dixon. And you might be saying, who's Kenneth Dixon?
Kenny Dix.
Terrence West, or is he injured too?
They got Terrence West and Buck Allen. They'll be carrying the ball for him.
Buck Allen.
Buck Allen. What's Buck Allen's real name?
Javorius.
So Buck Allen. So is their starting running back going to be a 32-year-old Danny Woodhead coming off an ACL tear?
No, because his hamstrings are hurt, aren't they?
His hamstrings are always hurt.
Ooh, the worst wide receivers in the NFL. Hey, New York Jets, come on down. Now, Alex, you're the expert. So they got rid of Brandon Marshall. They traded him away. They
cut him.
They cut it.
Cut Decker.
They cut Eric Decker?
Cut
They
Decker.
got Eric Decker's good.
Late in the offseason.
Why didn't they trade him?
They're looking at Robbie Anderson, who was just arrested.
Wait, Robbie
and-
Anderson's a kicker.
Not anymore.
How about worse offensive line? That'd be the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, we wanted to give you a little platform to talk about your team.
We have assembled the worst offense imaginable. It really is the worst offense imaginable. Thank you, Jets.
Especially because it doesn't have tight ends. So you
Yeah.
can't.
All right, let's build a terrible defense to go with that world record-breaking awful offense. Defensive backs. Think the Saints have the worst bunch. As for the linebackers, that's the New Orleans group of no-names. A defensive line, I think, let's go with the gold and black, the Saints.
Clean sweep.
Just clean sweep. Delvin Breaux, injured again. They also had to fire the doctor who misdiagnosed his broken leg. And this has really been the New Orleans brand for 7 years running now. This is a team that has been like, hey, your defense got problems. Whew, we need an awful coach. Chuck Pagano has had diminishing returns, but he's also had diminishing rosters. I love making fun of Jim Caldwell. That guy is an Easter Island head. We're gonna go off the recent discards, and Jeff Fisher has got to coach this team.
We're just trying to make America great by giving out jobs.
Yeah, Jeff Fisher is the coach to lead the worst possible team. He managed to never develop any talent over the course of 10 years as the Rams head coach. 10 years in the Rams? 8 years?
Rams was, he started in 2012, so it was
Oh, it just felt like a decade.
20 years?
Yeah. So there you have it. The absolute worst football team we could assemble, coached by the biggest numbskull, playing on the worst field in the worst location, cheered on by the absolute most miserable fans.
A franchise so bad you'll wish CTE was real.
Can you make it worse? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to SB Nation on YouTube, and tell your friends about us because we're so lonely. See you next week.